I do believe the time is nigh. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It's 420 in California. This is Reefer Revolution
But I
Live.
think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state.
Well, guess what?
I think it's up to the states, yeah. I'm a states person. I think it should be up to the states, absolutely.
Not so fast.
And I know people that are very, very sick, and for whatever reason, the marijuana really helps them.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Well, Reefer Revolutionaries, another slow week in cannabis news as the Congress, the House, makes a historic vote in committee passing out descheduling of cannabis to the House floor. And Booker calls out Boomer Biden on his gateway theory. Bernie burns it up, while another boomer gets a lesson in cannabinoids from Matt Gaetz? Strange days, but who's in? I'm in. Are you in?
I'm all in. This is the time to go all in on cannabis.
The clerk will report.
Mr. Chairman, there are 24 ayes and 10 noes.
The bill will be reported as a single amendment in the nature of a substitute incorporating all adopted amendments.
There are many health professionals and employers increasingly concerned that this is not your grandfather or your father's marijuana. The TCH components are much stronger.
To my friend Kellyanne Conway, I would say, okay, boomer. I mean, that's a very boomer approach to marijuana for no other reason that it's actually THC, not TCH.
I have a lot of respect for the vice president. I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana. I thought you might have been high when you said it.
We are going to make marijuana legal in every state in the country. We will expunge the records of those arrested for possession of marijuana. So we have built into our criminal justice program an effort to provide many billions of dollars in help to people in the African American community, Latino community, other communities, the people who have been hit the hardest by the war on drugs, to help them profit off a legal marijuana system.
Oh, hey. Ta-da! I forgot my other light. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? I'm Dave Conan. This is indeed Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up, talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot, and cannabis care. And when I say we, of course, I mean my partner in all things life and in cannabis, looking extra special, cannabis expressive today, Coach Chela.
Hey.
Hello, hello. Oh, wait. You turned your on, didn't you?
Oh, no.
You didn't?
Okay, take two. Here we go.
That's okay. We just started.
Take two. Okay.
Coach Chela.
All right. Hey, everybody.
We like to save those lithium batteries so we
do.
don't invade other countries, you know.
Yeah.
No. That's
Cool.
Hi, you are
babe.
looking extra special in your new cannabis sweater.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was looking for a cannabis scarf, and I came upon this amazing creation of fabric art. It's called felted art.
I'm sorry. Felted art.
Felted art. Yeah, I made an Instagram post about it, actually. It's a beautiful felted art scarf that looks just like a cannabis bush to me. So I bought it, and it came with this wonderful pin also, and I added a brooch. And I was looking for fun new cannabis gear to wear to the Emerald Cup.
Ah, yes, indeed. The Emerald Cup, which Dr. Barry Gordon jumping in the chat
So
right away.
exciting.
Super excited. We are indeed super excited to join you as well at the this year's Emerald Cup.
Absolutely.
December 14th and 15th at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds. And just really I'm just looking at the ever expanding list of
the lineup of speakers is amazing. a revolutionary group of activists, farmers, doctors, and researchers. It's going to be amazing. If you're anywhere near the area or if you can make it out at all, definitely check it out and try to make it there. It's really a great time. These revolutionaries, they gather every year. It really is like a big cannabis family reunion because it's legacy farmers and people have been in it since the very beginning. Doctors and researchers who have been doing this for 30 years. And so they come together, and it's just such a buoyant and wonderful experience despite the difficult year that regulated cannabis has had in California.
Holy moly. And of course, that's going to be in the news today. But,
but yeah, the Emerald Cup is great, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that we'll see you there. We're hoping on having a gathering on Friday evening with our Reefer Revolution fam, and if not, we'll see you at the event. So
gathering,
December
we'll do
14th and 15th.
We'll do a live broadcast on Friday before the show and meet up with some people who are coming out, including Dr. Barry Gordon coming all the way out from Florida, and
we'll do a check-in on Sunday at 4:20, of course.
Absolutely,
if we can get out.
And we were able to go live. We were able to go live multiple times during the last year's Cup. There was rain on Sunday, but Saturday was a beautiful day, and we did. And we went live from the indoor of the tents as well. So we were able to. We got a lot of really cool interviews, and you can go through some of those on our front page of our channel here at Reefer Revolution Live on YouTube. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, get notifications, ring that bell on whatever platform you're watching on. We are multi-streaming, of course, on YouTube, Facebook, DLive, Twitch, Periscope, and Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. And in no particular order there as to where we are multi-streaming, but trying to get the message out on as many platforms as we can, and jumping in the chat, lots of new faces, lots of OG faces jumping in the chat. Marvis Parvis has jumped in. MDM Niles is in there.
Vegan Metro's at a dispensary watching on his phone.
Oh, fantastic.
Techno Biscuit.
Turn the audio up there. Yeah. Techno Biscuit is in there. Dr. Barrett. Laura P.
MDM Niles.
We got 420 Fred.
Jerry McGinty.
Oh, Brian cannot tell.
Humble Canadian.
Cannot tell. Humble Canadian was first in today. Yo Small Tubes also right at the top of the show. Welcome, everybody.
420 Wild Dragon 420. Very nice, y'all. Oh, and Cannabis Sativa. I think I saw Cannabis Sativa in there too, didn't I?
He did a great, Mr. Sativa did a great podcast this week.
Ernest of Gaia,
about one of the stories we're covering this week, an update on a story that we broke and followed a couple weeks ago. And we're going to get that into the news. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Please check out the Emerald Cup at emeraldcup.com if you want to buy tickets and come on out. If you're in California or if you're coming out this way, it really is an amazing event, and this will be our second time, and we look forward to it. Getting some amazing sun-grown organic cannabis, and
seeds
and
community.
Yes.
To me, the event is so special because of the community that it draws together. Just to be able to actually talk face to face with these researchers and doctors and patients and growers.
Old-timers.
It's really amazing. And I love to see it. We're going to focus on the older people like we did last year on the older people, but I'm going to do better at getting people on the street interviews. We're going to get a bunch more of those.
Convenient then that we are smoking some Old Pal cannabis.
Ah, yes.
Some ready-to-roll shareable cannabis today.
Affordable, accessible, and abundant.
The way we like it.
That's right. We love the Old Pal. We do think it's shareable and nice, and I appreciate that they keep it at a low price point. And you guys, I think that they're our very first flower sponsor. So
rumor has it.
I mean, I haven't picked anything up yet, but this week we're supposed to be picking up our first batch. So we use it on the show anyway, as you guys know.
Well, we do
but we're super stoked to have it
because of those things: accessible, affordable, and abundant. And it's basically, you can get an awesome bag of cannabis, half an ounce of ready to roll pre-ground. It comes with, this is usually right here, it comes with its own
rolling papers.
Everybody needs rolling papers all the time. Comes
And
with
crutches.
its own
Rolling
nice
papers and
organic
crutches.
slow burning. Comes right there in the bag.
It's great.
Some crutches.
It's
We love the
lovely.
crutches. The papers are great.
So ask for it at your local
cannabis is
dispensary
great.
or delivery service.
And it is affordable. I mean, especially in this craziness going on in California with regard to taxation and such. They keep their, it's $50 for half ounce of excellent, great cannabis that's ready to roll and share with friends. So we do support Old Pal, and that's super exciting that they may be our first
It looks like
flower
they are
sponsor.
supporting
How
us
exciting.
as well.
Exactly. That's
So cool.
very cool. So we thank them very much. They'll probably be up there at the Emerald Cup, I would think, as well as some other growers and folks that that are in the chat often this every Sunday at 4:20. Jilly Love is maybe going to be up there. We're going to there she is, Jilly Love 101.
Awesome.
So we look forward maybe see you on Friday before and throughout the cup. But we are definitely going to be up there December 14th and 15th, Sonoma County Fairgrounds. Enjoying some amazing California cannabis and some amazing panels, and catch up with some folks that we met last year and interviewed last year. Get some updates on their work. Lots of stuff happened with Dr. Cicely over this last year with regards to her research, and her lawsuit all happened. It was found, and now it's still, the brakes are still, seems like the brakes are still on. Although Matt Gaetz seems to think that Bob Barr is going to loosen things up with the research accessibility of cannabis. I'm assuming that's with the DEA and the growing of research cannabis.
I think so too.
But we shall see, considering what's going on with being distracted up there. But despite distraction, guys, up on the hill, as many people are calling what's going on there on a daily basis, some stuff did seem to get done up there, and we're going to talk about that in the news because that's what this first hour is, guys. This is where we talk about all the news that's going on in cannabis throughout the country and the world even. And that news I break every day on my Twitter account. I do most of my tweeting over on Twitter. I don't know where you do it, but I'm at DC420LA over there on Twitter. And that's where I break news all week that I find, as well as other things, politics, but mostly cannabis. And then we put that all together over on a Cannabis Chronicle at DC420LA.com. And we send out one newsletter a week, goes out on Saturday night, Sunday morning, somewhere in there. And it holds the news that we talk about on the show. We pull a few stories out of there and talk about the week's cannabis news, focusing where we like to focus, positive things. So you can sign up for that newsletter if you like, or you can follow along. You can follow along as we talk about the news this week. You can also follow Chela over on, she tweets at Reefer Rev Show.
Kind of
over,
tweets.
or not tweets, little tweets, mostly a little Instagram, getting better. We're busy, and we are at that age group where it takes a little
we
bit.
don't really do that.
Takes a little bit to move us into this influencer space, but there are some old people on Instagram that
There's
are very
tons.
popular.
Absolutely.
So we cannot use that. Ageism is not an excuse. Techno Biscuit, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show.
I don't focus on it.
Welcome to the show, everybody. So let's follow us on
into it a
Twitter,
little bit.
on Instagram, on Facebook at DC420LA and at Reefer Rev Show. Subscribe on whatever video platform you're watching on. Hit that thumbs up. Send us some fruit over on DLive, whatever that means. And do what you do on Twitch, Facebook. Welcome to the show, everybody. Let's get into the news. Shall we? The big story of the week. The MORE Act. Of course, we saw the Safe Banking Act make some headway earlier this year, but Wednesday was the big one, the big Megillah. So far, that's for sure. As the the Judiciary Committee, the House Judiciary Committee passes out of. They've passed it out of committee, 24 to 10. We watched it live. It was very exciting.
It was so exciting.
Everyone in the chat on that
there were
on
like
their
500
channel.
stoners in the chat getting a huge civics lesson about how laws get made.
Is it legal? What's going on?
It was
has it passed
amazing.
yet? What are they voting on? Did they vote on that yet?
Everybody thought that this was the federal legalization vote.
This is it, right?
And it was like, no, this is how it works. Write
Quite.
your representatives and senators and encourage everybody, and also tweet at 45 because, we got miles to go.
It is definitely big.
It's a huge, giant, historic vote. Don't get me wrong.
You did not see this kind of movement with the majorities Obama had.
No.
These kind. There were plenty of legalization bills out there that could have been moved forward.
That's true.
But
now 91% of Americans are in favor of some sort of cannabis legalization. Before it wasn't like that. It was well over 50%.
A plurality of states with medical cannabis laws, close to all the states having some form of CBD legalization.
Almost,
all
yeah.
but 3.
Yeah.
And
South Dakota is like, we're going to do it all.
That's right. The window has shifted.
Yeah.
As it were.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
Yes. So there you go, folks. The MORE Act is now going to be polished by a couple other committees. I think what Nadler basically said is he wants the other committees that have jurisdiction on it to basically wave the magic wand and move it forward onto the House floor. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, to see it get a floor vote. So that's going to be the next move for the MORE Act. And then the Senate. Grassley, I believe, is the committee head in the Senate that would take it up. He has stated in no uncertain terms that he would not take up legalization. But as we've said, the window has shifted, and it's quite possible that needing a win, having this bill having bipartisan support, 2 Republicans did vote for the MORE Act. Representative Gates being one of them that took on Kellyanne Conway this week with her TCH knowledge.
Gaffe.
Head of
a gaffe.
In the drug policy. It was a gaffe, I know.
It was a gaffe. I mean, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not well versed in cannabis.
Exactly. You know who's not also well versed in her own bill, and who hasn't brought it up all week,
Senator
even
Harris.
in the debate, and is apparently the co-sponsor in the Senate of the MORE Act.
It's ridiculous.
And it did not pass her lips at all. Even when
she had many opportunities.
Even when Booker, as we saw in the beginning, and most of you saw this week probably, or maybe not. Not a lot of people watched that debate apparently.
We have a sophisticated audience.
But even on the debate stage, when there was that opening, she had plenty of opening at that point to mention, oh, by the way, I'm also sponsoring this bill that just passed. So that's obviously her support for legalization is fair weather, opportunist, and pandering, as are many of the Democrats, other than those that have been for it since the very beginning, as with all his policies regarding to Bernie. Booker, I believe, goes into that category. Yang, of course, he's new on the political field, so hard to say where he was over time. But of the establishment candidates, they are all recent converts, if converted at all, with the front runner, who basically Joe Biden is to the right of Donald Trump. On the spectrum, I think, of on cannabis, which is interesting. Just to the right, I'd say. And or they're exactly the same, or they're right in that area. So fascinating, and we'll get into in the afterburn. We'll watch a little more of those videos, the exchange between Biden and Booker, and some of the other stuff in our national block in the afterburn, which of course is where we hotbox the mainstream media and their coverage. But we'll get a little debate video in there as well. So the MORE Act has passed out of committee, is headed possibly relatively quickly to the House floor, depending on any other committee heads want to grab hold of it or just move it forward, which is probably the case. And then we'll see what happens. Write your reps. Tell them you want them to support the MORE Act, and vote yes to decriminalize. As well as now, the one thing about Well, there are several things. Now, they could have brought up Tulsi's bill, which is also a bipartisan bill, which is a clean deschedule, the ending marijuana prohibition, federal marijuana prohibition
Why
act.
did Jerry Nadler not bring up that bill?
Well, this is his. I think this is his bill. He
Oh,
wrote
the
this
MORE
bill.
Act is his bill. I got it.
And of course, it is addressing the elusive social justice aspect.
Somebody brought up the States Act. Excuse me, as an amendment.
Yes, that was interesting. The States Act was brought up as an amendment to the MORE Act, which seemed nonsensical to me, considering the MORE Act essentially does that. It leaves prohibition to the states. Which is what it is. Well, no, because there's also federal prohibition. But
yes, that's true.
But essentially, it would be like hemp. It would be like hemp, where they deschedule it and then leave the states to create their own programs and create their own laws around it. Now, will the 3 states that don't have any cannabis laws immediately boycott it and prohibit it and keep it on their schedule? Because every state has a schedule too. So you'll see federal crimes go down, but state crimes would still be a possibility. Now, how long they would last as the court challenge, it would be interesting. But essentially, that's what they were doing. If states wanted to prohibit, they could continue prohibition. But your interstate commerce would be happening. Your research would be expanded. Now, the MORE Act does suggest a 5% federal cannabis tax, which is lower than Blumenauer's plan, which works up to a 15% federal tax. But this is a 5% federal cannabis tax, which is ridiculous. The tax situation with cannabis is we're taxing cannabis more than they did during the tax stamp era, which essentially created prohibition.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what's going on. And California is going to increase their taxes
on January 1st.
On January 1st, like by 20%. I mean, I don't know how it washes out, but their measure is gone up 20%.
No.
Which is, well, okay. So what they're
it's supposed to be adjusted for inflation.
Well,
we'll
get into that when we get into that story. So let's start moving through the news a little bit. So the MORE Act passed. Tell your reps, write your representatives
and your senators and
your
tweet
senators,
to 45.
Support the MORE Act. Now, I think it's possible that this 5% federal tax could be a bargaining chip for libertarians.
Okay, that's fine. I want to add something to the MORE Act.
Yes.
I tell my people all the time, let's add a federal guarantee for personal cultivation. Hey, you might as well ask.
That would be a nice amendment.
I want that amendment, and if they say no or laugh me out of the room, that's fine. I want them to know that that's where I'm headed.
I think some rep should definitely bring up an amendment for home grow.
Maybe we should write a note to the rep on fire, AOC. She strikes me as someone who could bring up such an amendment.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
Because she just came out this week to. She is a little to the left of Bernie on decriminalizing, which leads me to believe there might be some wiggle room there for the Burn Man, because he got the psilocybin question from James Adomian this week in his Bernie versus Bernie debate, which is quite funny. I don't know why did that not play. Oh, that was next. Here, let me play that real quick, because that was funny.
Yeah, it's funny. Never cut funny.
Never cut funny.
You are obviously a prominent advocate of Medicare for all. Do you think that there's a way that could be expanded to a pilot program for psilocybin mushrooms for all who want it? Maybe that's a program people could opt out of. Free.
So
psilocybin.
Psilocybin mushrooms. James Adomian, probably my favorite Bernie impersonator, and is given way too little credit for being an excellent Bernie Sanders impersonator. But AOC, of course, is more to the left of Bernie on that issue. Thinks that all decriminalizing the use of all drugs is like Yang. I think Yang has that position as well. But We could see Bernie with some movement, especially with psilocybin, actually, because psilocybin is now once again
another drug.
This week, I tweeted about it. Did I put it in did we put it in the paper? We may not have.
Which?
That another drug company has gotten their psilocybin medicine on the breakthrough therapy list with the FDA.
That's exciting. For
a trial with drug-resistant depression, extreme depression.
We need to move the Anne Frank harvest to over there. to on the shelf next to
So you can see it because it's right behind me.
It's behind you.
What did you call it?
The Anne Frank harvest. So you guys know the story. Some of you new in the chat or new to the show may not know the story, but we were growing some plants really late in the season. We were very excited about it. And Mel Frank came over to help us learn how to grow because we're black thumb vegans. And we have this amazing yard, and it's incredible and amazing. You guys can look at the other videos. But our landlord freaked out and told us to destroy the plants, get rid of the plants. So, of course, we didn't destroy the plants. But we had to hide them from fascism.
So we had to hide them in the attic.
Put them on the patio and hid them in a tent. And anyway, so that's why I call it the Anne Frank harvest. So there it is.
But I'll tell you.
And I'm Jewish, and I'm allowed to say that.
Just to be clear.
Just say it.
Just to be clear. So we're curing some blue Skittles. Came out very nice, I think, a little bit. And we got some skunk going on over here. So yes, we did. I can attest, cannabis does cause psychosis in people that are been propagandized by the drug warriors and prohibitionists for their entire lives. It does make them lose their mind as soon as they see it, smell it, or hear it.
Yeah. The hearing it,
which is the situation for growing in California. It may be legal to grow 6 plants, but everybody around you for a mile and a half has to agree that you can grow your plants. So it is pretty crazy. California is going nuts even further with their taxation. Let's talk about that a little bit, actually. Before I get into California, let's talk about some good news.
I love good news.
Besides the fact that California is about to screw themselves even further.
I think that California. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it later. Go on.
Yeah, we're going to get into the California story, but I just want to report that we did an amazing interview a couple of weeks ago with the Ronan brothers. The Levy brothers, and it looks like the charges against Ronan Levy are going to be dropped in this case of the NYPD, who thought they had the biggest pot bust of the year.
Oh, they were so proud of themselves.
When they crowed about 106 pounds of marijuana they confiscated coming in from Vermont. And, of course, it was hemp.
Right.
With
you guys remember we chatted with
paperwork. You got the whole story here. You can watch the interview on our interview page. But an update on that story, New York City has dropped the charges filed against in the Vermont hemp case.
Vindicated. John D.
That's right.
Vindicated. We'll see how it all plays out. It's not quite over yet.
Well, they still have their stuff.
Exactly.
But it looks like the charges are going to be dropped, but they still haven't gotten their material back. So that, and of course, it's just sitting decarboxylating in some room somewhere.
Right.
with no temperature control. So it's going to be like, well, we're going to test it again just before we give it back, just to make sure. Oh wow,
God.
You're way over. Okay.
Yeah, but they made it so.
But they did. So good news, some good news coming out of that case. John D., best of luck, and your brother and Ronan Levy for getting through this, and hopefully you get your hemp back. And it's still good enough, too, that you're not completely financially ruined with the legal hemp industry in New York and Vermont, which is, of course, has its own troubles now that it's been descheduled, which is what they can do with cannabis. If they deschedule it, it's still going to run into these state issues and new industry issues all along. So there will be growing pains, but, cop's going to cop. And this is probably going to continue as the transition happens.
For most of the rest of our lives.
The hemp industry grows. But I'll tell you, we have to build the hemp industry in America. Otherwise, China is going to take that over too. It's already has
they're gonna spank us.
already has a huge jump on us in CBD, and it's garbage. And other hemp products, but they're making
cleaning
a ton
their
of
soil,
CBD.
so that's good.
Yeah, they're cleaning their own soil and sending it in the CBD that's coming over here. So there you go. Yes, buy good U.S. hemp CBD, and we need to help that industry flourish here, not harm it by destroying entrepreneurs and farmers
And lowballing it
in the process.
Yeah.
What's with the prices with hemp flower? It's the same as cannabis flower in some of these shops. Very strange. Okay, so good news there, guys. Good news coming out of New York with that case being dropped. Let's now talk about California.
Well, maybe the price of farming hemp, because of all the testing and stuff, is more than tomatoes. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly now. As the farmers are getting started, where they have to buy seed, they have to, or plants, and now they can clone if they know how to do that. Many don't know how to grow the stuff, so it's going to be a huge learning curve because of we are literally years, as Joe Rogan said this week, we are decades behind everybody else because of hemp being prohibited, not just cannabis, not just marijuana, but hemp being prohibited by the Hearsts.
It's a super duper slow roll, man. They want to super slow roll everything because it'll disrupt. But you know what? Look at Thailand. Thailand almost overnight changed everything.
Oh,
because a new government got voted in.
I do think a lot of this could happen overnight.
It could.
A lot of things should happen overnight. Like, for instance, licenses should have just been given to
everyone who grows.
Everybody who has one had one already in some whatever form was going on. Say in California.
Prop 215, folks.
What did it in the afterburn? There's a story that shows the breakdown of California, and that basically we have somewhere around one cannabis shop for every 35,000 people. Or something like that, and I don't know if that's correct. But it's the disparity between, say, Oregon and California and the number of cannabis shops versus, say, in Oregon and in California versus the population. It's ridiculous. Tulsa, Oklahoma has more licensed dispensaries than the city of Los Angeles, and of the dispensaries in the city of Los Angeles, most of those are not social equity, which was supposed to be one of the biggest social equity cities in the state.
Social equity is a big fazzool.
It's a big joke. It's a lie.
Bastin is retooling their stuff to fix that.
Who is? Who?
Bastin.
Bastin is fixing?
Yeah. There's a story in the headlines all about it. That Bastin is retooling their stuff to make it more social equity friendly.
Well, a fazzool social equity friendly or
a
real one?
No, they're because they realized it's a fazzool.
They realized
it's
how bad
a
we're doing it. In California?
Probably. It's not a secret. Everybody knows we're a total joke.
Well, that was actually, the Vice story actually is a very enlightening story about California and what happened with Prop 64.
Oh my God, this story.
We can start there with California about Gavin Newsom and his promises to the cannabis industry and protecting the farmers, the small farmers that are already, essentially promising to protect the industry that was here. And the people were legacy growers, right?
They were legacy growers, small craft growers. Candidate Gavin Newsom rolled into Garberville, the epicenter of cannabis distribution, and said, hey, Prop 64 is going to be great. We're going to support you into the regulated market. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have all sorts of on-ramps to do it. And really, meanwhile, Gavin Newsom is a shill for Big Pharma and the status quo and wants nothing to do with actual change. So,
his answer is enforcement.
Yeah.
Which is the what they're doing up in Canada.
Putting moms and pops out of business.
Right.
And putting them in jail. It's just Prohibition 2.0. Humble Canadian is experiencing the same thing in Canada. This is how it is across the country and the world. So guys, if you are in states that do not have legalization yet, like South Dakota or any number of 20 some odd states, I'm not great with math, be involved. Get involved now. Start finding savvy people who can run for office, for city council, for supervisor, for mayor, for your state, assemblies and senates and stuff. Get in there, get in on the ground and start helping make the rules to what your cannabis legislation is going to look like, because it's happening. You guys all know it's happening. It's happening. Hi, Phil Britton. That's all. What are you reading?
I was just trying to find that quote in this article that I found so intriguing, but I can't seem to find it. I did find one that says, legalization, quote, is just killing off the small farmers, said Mendocino County Supervisor Ted Williams, who was elected last year. Quote, the sense in this county is that Prop 64's implementation is really favoring the corporate interests at the cost of the small family farms.
Yep.
Newsom does, of course, have an out. Much of this damage was done by people he did not hire before he became governor. But 11 months into his first term, he hasn't done much to help either, critic says.
He's done a lot to hurt.
Yeah, in his first year, he's taken a, quote, somewhat cautious approach, says the state director for advocacy group's Drug Policy Alliance. That's generous. One of Governor's first acts related to cannabis after his swearing in was to step up enforcement. If legalization would create more outlaws, legalization would also require National Guardsmen flying helicopters. So essentially, we got fake legalization, as Jody Emery calls what's going on up in Canada. We got it in California. We got a new prohibition. Mm-hmm. We've got the pay to play, and if you don't, you're going to jail, and or they're going to try to put you in jail. And there was an interesting exchange on my Twitter this week. Alexis was referring to this story about Alexis Portel.
Alexis, yes.
Alexis Portel was talking about this story about California taxation driving more people to the illicit market, or traditional market, as we call it here, OG market, legacy market. I believe Steve D'Angelo called
unregulated market.
Unregulated market. Thriving in California.
The thriving market.
The thriving market in California. That's right. And
the thriving cannabis market.
And the thriving cannabis market will continue to thrive, especially when they plan on increasing the taxes based on their new, which is also a very disturbing part of how they did this. They basically looked at the markup, the wholesale markup of cannabis in California to determine how much to raise the taxes. That's how they're determining how to do it. And this is an article in Forbes talking about the taxation of the raise of taxes. And what they're basing it on is what's called, the cannabis markup rate. The CDFTA is responsible for determining the tax markup rate on cannabis every 6 months. And according to their website, quote, an analysis of statewide market data was used to determine the average markup rate between the wholesale cost and the retail selling price of cannabis and cannabis products. Based on this analysis, effective January 1st, 2020, the newest markup rate will be at 80%.
What are you nuts?
An 80% markup rate from wholesale to retail, and that's what they're going to be basing the taxes on.
What?
Across the board.
That's awful.
The state taxes. 80% markup rate, that's awful.
That's what I'm saying. That's awful.
And that is up 20%, Chela. The last one was 60%. That's why the taxes are going up, because the markup rate from wholesale to retail has gone from 60% to 80%. So greed, corporate greed, and now that, of course, let's throw on top of that the expense of trying to get a license, the cost getting licensed and do business and lab testing, over testing, to just do business in the state of California or in the country, and not get any tax breaks outside of the state of California as far as federal goes. So 60 to 80, but we're going now from a 60% markup rate to an 80% markup rate. And that exchange on Twitter basically boiled down to, it may drive some people back to the illicit market, but it's really not driving anything because it hasn't. The traditional market, the OG market, hasn't gone anywhere. There are still people all over the state growing cannabis on their property and sharing it with their friends
and neighbors.
People in their neighbors.
It's just how it is.
It's just how it is, and that's how it's going to continue, no matter what happens on a state level or state taxation level, on a enforcement level. It's
speaking of level, your camera's crooked. I just can't take
handle
it
it anymore.
You just keep saying level, level, level. I'm like, no, you're not at all. Thank you.
Is that better? I
don't know. I can't tell. I'm delayed.
My homage to Batman and the Joker. Or, I guess, I don't know.
With your Dutch camera.
With my Dutch angle.
Needs to be more Dutch.
My Dutch sense. Okay, I fixed it.
All right, thank you.
So there we... Hello. It's your dad?
No, it's Greg Edgar. I can't talk.
So California taxes going up on cannabis. What a wonderful idea. And it's not that people are going to be driven to the traditional market or the legacy market or whatever you want to call it. Traditional market. It's that your industry is going to get kneecapped and it's not going to grow and people are going to lose money. And you're basically probably doing what you set out to do in the very beginning anyway, was to destroy marijuana, cannabis industry, and not actually make it thriving, because it seems like at every step they're trying to make it harder and harder for this industry to thrive, whether it's with original overtaxation. I mean, it's like 45% up in Washington. I mean, how's that hurting the industry up there in Washington, by the way? I'd be curious to do a little more deeper dive into Washington State. It's got the highest cannabis taxes. How is it affecting the market there? But it's certainly not going to, if history of the last, how long has it been legal here? 2 years now, almost?
Oh, yeah.
If that's,
it was since 2016, right?
Yeah, but then it became January 1st, 2017, right? Is when it started. When did it start?
I guess so.
We passed it in 2016 and then it started in 2017. But it's certainly, the high taxation has certainly not helped this market in California. And by increasing taxation, it's not gonna help. It's nuts. It's completely nuts. It's crazy. It's cannabis crazy. That's what it is. So another reason to not do it like California is the taxation that they're planning. And the MORE Act has a 5% federal cannabis tax. I don't think that's wise.
I don't think so either.
And I think that might be one of the things that gets either lowered or an attempt to remove it if the bill is going to move forward.
But then you can't fund the programs that they want to fund.
Which, the programs that are bullshit anyway?
The programs that are bullshit anyway. Well, Bernie hasn't made the program, so maybe Bernie's program implementation will be different.
Yeah.
Maybe the implementation will be different. But I do think it should be more like a 1 or 2% tax. I think that would fund it plenty fine.
It would certainly, the lower the tax, the better. Like New Jersey, there's a story this week in the Chronicle about New Jersey and them wanting to initially, anyway, make sure that the taxes for their legal marijuana, which is going to happen maybe in 2020, one of the states that's on the radar of going legal in 2020, they want to have the cheapest marijuana taxes in the country.
But there's still a lot.
And that's only a starting rate. This is like it's all negotiable. But we're going to start with the lowest rate possible. With no taxes
6%.
at all. We're going to start with no taxes at all, just the state sales tax. Oh, okay. That's logical.
That's reasonable.
Wow, what a great idea. Maybe
Except for with medicine. What do they do with medicine?
Well, okay. So that's a compromise, right? You don't tax food, you don't tax medicine, right? But okay. Well, let's let's just use the sales tax. Oh, that's kind of logical. Have they done that in California? Because we still have to pay the sales tax in California.
Yeah.
On top of the cannabis taxes. That's why it's ridiculous. That's why it was $37 for my $100 worth of weed that you can share from
my shareable weed.
My shareable weed was, $37 on $100 worth of weed in city of Los Angeles after all is said and done. So New Jersey wants to pass a law that has just the state sales tax, but they're going to be, it's negotiable. The city's going to add taxes. The locality's going to add an excise tax. The state will add an excise tax. After all the politicians get to it and all of the cities get to it,
20%.
It'll be 15 or 20% by the time they said and done. And they'll say, the tax. Here's how it's going to go. The tax money isn't as high as we thought it was going to be. What's going on with this legal marijuana? Oh, people are still using the illicit market. The black market is thriving in New Jersey. The New Jersey weed man is still selling weed on the steps of the Capitol. Yep, that's the way it's going to go. No matter what. Probably no matter what taxes you put on it. But certainly if they're high and they continue to get higher, what are you, high? As Booker would say. And I actually agree with Tom Angel that week about that's to disparage people for being high and making silly decisions. Is a cannabis trope, which we must quash, but reefer madness, if you will. But seriously, are you high? What are you doing raising the taxes in California?
That's insane.
That's insane. So New Jersey, good luck. Good luck keeping taxes down on your legal cannabis next year. We wish you all the best, and it's a great goal. It's really a great goal to keep your taxes down. Meanwhile, looks like the cannabis industry might be a good place for labor to get a foothold, as continued stories of unionization and crackdowns on bad work practices, which guess what, are showing up all over the place. It's not like all the people in the cannabis industry all of a sudden are good people. I mean, that are especially the ones. I'm not saying the legacy farmers. That's not what my point. I'm getting into corporate cannabis people. They're corporate cannabis people. They're greedy people. They're corrupt politicians. Especially when you have licensing going on and all that going on. So you're just merely taking all those corrupt people and moving them into a new industry. So you're going to get corruption and bad work practices and cutting corners and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think this new industry, not only can we help save some of these small farmers and small business and small legacy operations in states like California and Michigan, and where, guess what? We're everywhere. Growers are everywhere in every state. Take care of those people. Let's make sure that as we go forward, our labor practices, we're unionizing. Bernie wants to unionize everybody. I think that's a great idea. It's probably his most socialist thing.
Yeah.
Is he wants to unionize everybody and live better, work union. And we can do that with the cannabis industry. We do.
Live better and work union.
Listen, we live better because we don't have to work as much, because we have a good union jobs. We have because time is money. We make living wages. Mm-hmm. And there's certainly no reason, certainly with this revolution that's happening politically, that this new industry that Bernie wants to support and help folks who have been, which apparently was an outside idea that was brought into the campaign. That if we do legalize federally, that we have to get a handle on the large corporations getting a hold of this industry and not allowing people who have been affected most by the drug war in every demographic, mostly, of course, people of color, but many other people have also been affected by the drug war. So people affected by the drug war
disproportionately. Listen, there's
4-1.
Everybody's gotten fucking nailed. Mostly poor people.
But it's essentially, and people of color are
who disproportionately have been people of color, but plenty of white people have gone to jail for pot, and they're almost all poor. But the rates of cannabis use are roughly the same, but people of color are put in jail at ridiculously higher rates than white people. It's fucked up.
But the thing is,
it's just an excuse to put people of color in jail.
But these policies that are being enacted in cities like Los Angeles are just their theater. They're smoke and mirrors. They're just they're not real.
Yeah, showbiz.
It's showbiz,
just like LA.
Yeah, it's
just like Hollywood.
So it's there's a lot of talk of it. Hopefully, the program that Bernie puts together that does this. It truly does provide benefit in that area, because we haven't seen it in LA. The money was diverted in Los Angeles to the LAPD overtime fund. The process in LA has been disrupted because of corruption, possible corruption. Basically, the council, the head of the council head has asked for a do-over in licensing in Los Angeles because of the corrupt nature of what was going on, or
but nothing's really happened with that.
But nothing's really happened with that, right?
They're pretty much just going forward the way they planned,
right? So
which is like, wait a minute, we as a community should be out in the streets rioting about that, certainly picketing about it. That's not cool.
What we would all like is just deschedule it, leave it alone, don't create any new laws, because new laws just create new people breaking laws. That's what it does. New criminals. New laws create new criminals. Fresh new criminals. And that's basically what we have going on in Canada. We have it going on in California. Michigan starts December 1st. I don't know. They start sales December 1st. All these new states are going to be coming on. Medical has been protected in the continuing resolution and on a federal level, but really the arrests continue to rise. In New Jersey, it was just reported last week, I think, people of color 3-1 being arrested in New Jersey, and arrests are on the increase of cannabis. So here we are legalizing everywhere, and it really has not hit the ground yet. I mean, people are still being arrested for hemp because they think it's cannabis. So it really hasn't hit the ground with these laws changing, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while before we start to see real changes on the ground. Jilly Love says we need to get into some high-powered edibles and stop smoking. Get the buddy. Oh no, was that Jilly that said that?
I don't know,
Somebody said that.
You guys, part of my problem is that
Summer BC said that.
Here's the thing: is that I just ate a bunch of donuts.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm not
They were
supposed
vegan,
to have
lots of wheat
and
sugar.
That makes me cough. It makes me have crappy lungs. So anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize. But yes, I appreciate your concern.
Cannabis sativa, 1 year of adult use sales in Massachusetts, 30 dispensaries statewide. Still a long way to go.
Long way.
I think Arkansas just gave out their final, or at least Northwest Arkansas, their final licensed dispensary for licenses. You can only have 5 here, 5 there. It's ridiculous. They don't plenty of liquor stores on every corner. We threatened to make it so you had to go 4-1 dispensaries to liquor stores or something.
Yeah,
like
right.
That didn't go anywhere. That would have been fun.
Let's talk about do we have the story? Did you add it to the paper? The Florida home grow Supreme Court?
Oh, I didn't add it to the paper, but I can bring it up.
Bring it up.
That Dr. Berry turned us on to?
Yes, that Dr. Berry turned us on to, because Dr. Berry is part of this lawsuit.
Bringing us breaking news.
Dr. Berry, revolutionary activist, and doctor extraordinaire.
And doctor to this gentleman right here, Joe Redner, cannabis doctor to Joe Redner. This is a pretty prominent case down there in Florida.
It's a big deal.
Florida Supreme Court punts on Joe Redner's home grow cannabis case, ending the strip club owner's fight. Redner has been fighting to grow his own pot for a prescribed juicing treatment. Juicing, not even the smoke. You can't even get high juicing it. He's growing plants so that he can juice it and get all that all those acids, man. But the Supreme Court, the Florida Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to hear it. They punted on it. They can do that under this particular jurisdiction. and they're not going to hear the case. So the lower court holding basically stands, which is that Joe Redner cannot grow his own cannabis for this medically recommended cannabis recommended by Dr. Barry Gordon. Actually, from the doctor's mouth.
THCA is extremely beneficial. I'm actually really excited about hemp microgreens because I think you might be able to get some from there. But this
I'd like to know more about that as well.
Is a big deal, and we want to ensure home grow federally, and it's going to be something we're probably all going to have to work on throughout the rest of our lives to ensure home grow for everybody. Because look at Florida. No, you can't grow your own.
Well, there's currently, and of the ballot initiatives in Florida that are going around, there's only one that has home grow in it. And that's not the one that's getting all the signatures. The one that's getting all the signatures is the one that's being funded by MedMen and corporate cannabis.
Because they're mailing it to people.
As they're doing in New York. Yeah, mailing is not cheap.
That's putting it on the ballot, and then people have to vote for it. But, yeah.
But no,
it's unfortunate when bad laws get passed that way, because then we have to spend years and years and years fighting to change it, which is what we're doing in California. So if you're in Florida and you have any extra time, it'd be good for you to volunteer for the good bill that allows for home grow, because there is one.
There is. It's apparently not getting a whole lot of play, but it's unfortunately the one that comes in the mail is not the one you want.
Yeah, MILF. Screw MILF.
Yes,
Don't sign the MILF.
Yes.
Screw
MILF,
MILF.
no good.
Which is funny.
Screw MILF. You said it, not me.
I did. Okay, we're good here.
So we're all friends. We're all friends, folks. Thanks for joining us, folks. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up. We talk about the cannabis news every week. But I thank Dr. Barry Gordon for turning us on to that story. It's unfortunate that I'm wondering how Joe Redner is going to get his medicine. Because those leaves are not easy to get.
I wonder if hemp leaves would provide enough THCA. Is Dr. Barry, are you around in the chat? Would hemp, well, you probably don't want to answer that question in this forum, but I'm wondering, maybe Dr. Biscuit can answer, would hemp leaves juiced provide any THCA? Is there THCA in hemp leaves? That's a good question.
According to the article, Redner has been fighting to gain access to home grows since after voters approved the medical cannabis amendment in 2016. In its implementing legislation, the Florida legislature blocked patients from being able to grow their own products. Redner claims his doctor, Dr. Barry Gordon, prescribed a juicing treatment using cannabis leaves to treat his stage 4 lung cancer and prevent a possible relapse. Redner found some success with Leon County Circuit Judge Karen Givers, who ruled the voter-approved constitutional amendment authorized cannabis use. But the ruling was later struck down in April by the District Court of Appeals, which ruled the word use, depending on what the word definition of use is, did not mean patients could grow or process the plant for their personal use. So a matter of semantics, according to the lower court, and not being heard by the Florida Supreme Court, which means basically that is what holds is that ruling. So unfortunate, Dr. Barry, that keep us updated on this case, because that's certainly a big one with these with adult use or recreational coming to Florida, going to be one of the biggest markets. They're going to want to stop people from growing for that too. If you can't grow for your medicine, they're certainly not going to want to let you grow for your fun.
No. Techno Biscuit tells us that no, the THCA in hemp is not adequate.
Just not high enough.
So that's unfortunate.
Because that's part of actually one of the other big stories this week, the continued challenge that the hemp industry has with these new rules that have been put out by the USDA. This coming over from Hemp Industry Daily. The DEA is mentioned 42 times in the USDA's rules, and the hemp industry is disturbed by the agency's involvement in the THC testing rules. And that, of course, part of that problem is they are looking at total THC in these rules, which includes THCA, which would basically back up what Dr. Biscuit says, that even the THCA levels in hemp are pretty low, but apparently not low enough for these new rules of the USDA. And that's one of the questions as to when it gets tested. If it's tested, they're like, well, we have to test it after it's decarboxylated because that's when people are going to smoke it. People are going to smoke it, and then we got to make sure it's not going to get them hot. So we don't want to make sure.
Isn't there some kind of historic thing, like some kind of farmers' revolt or something?
That farmers could
change
do
some shit. Shouldn't they bring some pitchforks to the next meeting?
It was like Shays Rebellion. Wasn't that Shays Rebellion?
I think that farmers are going to change some shit for us all. So if you know any farmers, hemp farmers or food farmers that are thinking of hemp, make sure that they are contacting their elected representatives and telling them what they want. Freedom, liberty, all the things.
So the Congress literally, they did. The Congress took hemp off of the Controlled Substances Act. I guess THC is technically still on the Controlled Substances Act.
Yes, they took hemp off.
So they took hemp off the Controlled Substances Act, but the THC is still controlled. Therefore, the DEA must be involved in the testing aspects of it and making sure that the hemp is legal. So the DEA is still going to have their sticky little hands all over the sticky little hemp. And according to these rules. Now, these rules, you can still make suggestions, comments. If the farmers want to start there, and everybody else, anybody in the CBD industry wants to wants to make sure we're not, the U.S. CBD industry and hemp industry isn't kneecapped even more by these silly rules as they try to challenge China and make good quality CBD. You can't make good quality CBD if you don't have a little THCA in there of some significance. And there are ways to remedy this. There are ways around total destruction of crops, and just there are ways to rectify and remediate.
Fix it after.
Remediate.
Yeah.
As Brando, the Weed Commando, who's back on the air. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, I haven't seen him in the chat much lately, but that's maybe because he hasn't been around on YouTube, but he's putting out more videos again. Talks a lot about Michigan, and he talked this week about all of the news. But he mentioned how it's really easy. He's a grower of a long time in Michigan. It's really easy to make good weed into shitty weed, or rather make shitty weed out of good weed when you're growing it. It's not that hard. And there's probably a pretty good, easy way to make hemp with too much THC in it into shittier hemp without too much THC in it, without too much trouble, and then just retest or take it out afterwards. I mean, it's all doable. There is the technology to do that, by the way. But it certainly is not helping the farmers, certainly in this new realm where they don't know how to grow it. They don't know what to grow where. They don't know how to harvest it. They don't know how to dry it. They don't know about the bugs. You can't use certain pesticides even on this. Oh, my God. So to make it even harder for them by making these ridiculous rules about THC levels, which from literally a completely arbitrary number that was made up, completely made up from no science whatsoever, to differentiate the plant from marijuana from hemp, completely made up. So I think the comment period ends at the end of December. So make sure you get over there to we'll try to find the link and drop it in the description of this video if you want to make a comment to the USDA through the end of the year. Certainly anybody trying to grow hemp or start a hemp business or CBD business would be interested in these rules, because it certainly makes it harder for this nascent industry, this budding industry of hemp growing. But they might the farmers are strong, or they're looking for something, and that literally apparently get your Christmas tree early this year, folks, because hemp has taken over. People are no longer decided not to grow Christmas trees. They've decided to grow CBD hemp, which I think you could kill two birds with one stone.
Well, but
just go out, like there's one, I think it was in Maine, or was it in Oregon? Wasn't there a farm where they shut it down, but you could go pick your own hemp and go pick your own hemp Christmas tree, grow a hemp Christmas tree field and go there and have people, I'll take that one, cut it down, put it in a thing, ornament it. It dries right there from Thanksgiving to January 1st. 6 to 8 weeks drying right there in the living room, and
genius.
And you've got your hemp flower for the whole year.
They have those upside down trees,
They do. I know. Do an upside down hemp Christmas tree. I think that's an awesome idea. We should start that business in California.
Totally do it.
Hemp, and then it's hemp flower.
You
You've
have
got
to
your hemp
apply
flower
for a
the rest of
license,
the year.
motherfuckers. Anyway, hey, listen, it's getting to a certain time, babe.
It is. That's why I was ending on that note, because that's one of the stories that we've got in the Afterburn, guys. The Afterburn is coming up. This has been Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up and talk about all the week's cannabis news, the politics of pot, cannabis care. And now we are going to hotbox the mainstream media in the MST 420 Theater with the Afterburn. So make sure you stick around. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Subscribe. We are multi-streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, DLive, and Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. So wherever you're watching, wherever you're joining us, please do what you do there to subscribe to our channel, hit a thumbs up, and join us every week at 420 Live for Reefer Revolution Live, the show where I'm on repeat.
What happened?
Nothing happened. I just went to the top of the promo.
Nope.
It's time for the Afterburn, guys.
It is, yo. It is.
Free the plant, free the people. Call your reps. The MORE Act has passed out of committee. It's headed for the House floor.
Senators, tweet 45 to pass the MORE Act. He needs a win.
Support the MORE Act,
could happen.
President Trump, because it's crazy times. It's crazy times in cannabis, in all things, but we like to focus on cannabis. And
hey, I'm noticing we have maybe a couple more people than usual watching right now.
Yes.
I want you all to know we're going to go away for about a minute and a half. If you refresh your browser, we'll come right back. So if you wish to stay with us and keep watching the cannabis news, refresh your browser and we'll be right back. We do that so that we don't get totally taken off YouTube.
Well, we do this as a service to our growers, our doctors, our people all around the country who like to know what's going on in their neck of the woods with regards to cannabis news. There are certainly plenty of these companies that I put up with videos from the local news that are monetizing the videos themselves, despite the fact we couldn't monetize the beginning of this hour because of the content that we're doing. But that's, it just doesn't need to be said.
There.
But, I got in the habit of finding cannabis news from all around the country. It's fun for me. And folks, we actually get more views on the Afterburn than we do the first hour. So what are you going to do? Give the people what they want. So we're going to give you the cannabis news
until we get shut down,
which could happen any day with YouTube. Apparently, they're going to start shutting channels down in the next couple of weeks.
But it's been fun. And you can always catch our newsletter.
And we'll stay up. We'll stay up on the other places until they shut us down. But we'll always be on DLive because they're that's a decentralized streaming platform.
That's cool.
Which I really appreciate our viewers over on DLive who have joined us, and we will stay up on there, that's for sure. But we'll stay here on YouTube, please. And we'll be right back here on YouTube. So we will shut down, hit that thumbs up, free the plant, free the people, pot for peace. We'll see you in the Afterburn.